Taking a peek underneath the hood. Popping this thing open and look at that. So in North America, there is only one engine choice available, and that is the 2.3 liter turbo that we're looking at here. From a power perspective, it can push out 270 horsepower and 310 foot-pounds of torque. When it comes down to fluid, we've got easy access to a few fluids, so our windshield washer fluid there. We can easily change or check our oil underneath, and we've got easy access to the battery. But really clean look, really simple design in this thing, and as I mentioned, the only engine choice available inside of the Ranger trim level in North America. From a technology perspective, we will have a few things that are standards. As you can see there, we do have our backup camera, as well as the reverse sensing system. And then there also is the blind spot system, letting us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. There is also a lane keeping system. Now, this specific Ranger Lariat does not have the added technology package, but if you got the added technology package, we would have a forward sensing system as well. We'd have voice activated navigation, as well as adaptive cruise control. So that's available in the technology package, which the one that I'm looking at does not have it. Now, on top of that, in the outside there, as you can see, we do have a running board. Now, running boards inside of the Lariat version of the Ranger do not come standard. It is available as an option. We've got that black platform running board or chrome instead. When it comes down to filling up this thing for gas, now the type of fuel needed is just your regular 87 octane, so just regular fuel. You don't need to use a premium fuel inside of this thing. Filling it up very straightforward on our driver's side. As you can see there, little button press in order to open this thing up, and it's a capless system. So all you need to do, insert your hose, fill up, click, log it back down into place, and you're set to go. Now, when it comes down to towing, I do recommend getting the trailer tow package from the factory, because not only do we get the receiver, but we also get the necessary 4 7-pin wiring harnesses there. So if your trailer does have those blinkers, we've got the capability to set that up easily from there. So always recommend get the trailer tow package from the factory. It just looks simpler. From a towing perspective, this thing is actually going to be able to tow up to 7,500 pounds, which is incredible for a vehicle this size. And then other thing to point out, as you can see there, we also do have this locking mechanism there, and that is going to be the release for the spare tire that's underneath the truck. Now, taking a peek at the key fob, so nothing's changed from the 2020 to the 2021 model on the fob, but this is the Lariat. So one of the nice things about the Lariat is that it is push button start. Now, there isn't remote start directly for this specific one. It's the 500A. We'd have to go to the 501 or add it on as an option instead. So on the basic version, we've got our unlock button, our lock button, as well as our horn or a panic alarm. Last one there is going to be our emergency access key, so we can get access to the vehicle if we don't have our fob on us. And this is also the key that we would use in order to be able to unlock that mini tire. Click it back into place from there. Now, one thing to point out, this thing doesn't have remote start on the fob. However, the vehicle does have a built-in modem, so you'll be able to directly remote start using the Ford Pass app instead. Now, looking at the bed of the truck, so as you can see there, nice and open up. Now, this one does not have any sort of a liner in it. You've got options for a plastic drop-in liner, you've got a spray-in liner, then there's all sorts of aftermarket solutions, so things like Line-X, etc. You'd be able to get all sorts of options in order to be able to cover this thing off and protect it. On top of that, there are a number of different options for tonneau covers. So you can get a trifold hardtop, you can get a single hardtop, you can get a soft shell, or you can just cap it out. So it really depends on your preference and what you end up needing for this vehicle. Look at this. Nice look to it. Now, it is a 5-foot bed, and the dimensions of it are going to show up in just a second there. So as you can see, plenty of room and plenty of space if you need a basic or a smaller type of a work truck. Now, when it comes down to spacing in the second row of the Ranger, so this is the crew cab, so the full 4-door. Now, a couple things to consider. If you get the Super Cab, like I mentioned, you can't get the Lariat, but the Super Cab, if you've ever been in the back seat of a Mustang, it's pretty much like that. But Super Crew, I'm 6 feet tall. I've got the driver's seat set up for somebody who's 6 feet tall. I still have a few inches of knee space. I've got some foot space as well. So knowing that if you need to get 4 adults inside or 5 adults inside of this thing, you can do it. It'll just be a little bit tight. It's kind of nice though. Now, when we go up overhead, I've got about 2, maybe 3 inches of head clearance space as well. So, I mean, if you're 6'2", that's really kind of the max height, or else you're gonna have to kind of be in a weird, uncomfortable position in order to get in the back of this thing. But if you've got a young family, etc., knowing that you'll be able to get everybody back here. Now, having said that, if you've got kids that are inside of a car seat, especially a back-facing, the Ranger may not work as an option for you unless you have them kind of in this seat here with the passenger seat pushed forward. And the reason why is just because there's just not enough spacing in the back. So depending on your needs, you might have to end up looking at a SuperCrew F-150 instead. Few things to point out in the back of this thing as well. So on the very bottom, as you can see, we've got a little lever there. We're just going to pull that and we can crank the entire seat up. As you can see there, we've got a tiny little bit of storage space as well in the back now, and then we can just crank that lever again in order to be able to drop the seat. Now from there, we've also got some cup holders in the back, so we can just pull this down in order to reveal the cup holder there and just lock it back up into place. And along the back, so we've got a few things there. So tiny little storage area. We've got a built-in inverter, so we can plug in a traditional wall outlet, as well as a few regular USB ports. From there, both the driver and the passenger seat also have some pockets in the back. One other thing, along the passenger seat in the back, we see we've got a little lever there. We can crank that lever up in order to bring the whole seat forward. Watch this. Boom! And a couple things to point out in the back there. We've got our jack, so if we need to change our tire ourselves. And then there also is that white spigot along the back. We would use that in order to be able to use a jerry can to fill up our car, and bam, lock it back into place. Now, other thing to point out is that this one does have a window in the back there, and it is a manual sliding window, so we can easily adjust that as necessary. Looking along our driver's side door, so we've got the ability to kill off power to the windows, and we've got our window adjusting buttons from there. And other thing to point out, we've got our unlock and our lock buttons. Nice look along the side there. Now, I have heard rumors and I've been looking around, and it looks like the Ranger may be getting a redesign next year. Don't quote me on that one just yet, but it would be kind of nice to see this thing get a little bit of an overhaul. But it does look really sharp. Now, as we look just to the left of the steering wheel, so a few things to point out along the back here. So as you can see, we've got the ability to easily turn on our fog lamps, and then we've got a selector switch to figure out what's happening with our running lamps. Now, the only two that I really recommend you worry about are all the way to the left, which is going to make sure our lights are off, or all the way to the right, which is going to give our auto lamps. So the auto lamp setting means that it's automatically going to let the vehicle determine if the daytime or the nighttime running lamps are going, and then this one is going to have the lights on all the time. So I do recommend just keeping it on the auto setting instead. From there, we've also got this plus and minus button, which is going to adjust the brightness of not only our cluster screen, but also of that Sync 3 screen as well. From there, we've also got our bed lighting. We can easily toggle that on or off from inside the vehicle. And then we've also got our side view mirrors. So we've got the ability to, if we need to, we can adjust them as necessary, so the left versus the right side, and we can select by easily moving this knob one side to the other. Adjusting the driver's seat inside of the Ranger Lariat is a very straightforward process. So, along our left-hand side for the driver, right-hand side for the passenger, as I mentioned, it is power on both sides for part of it. So, there are a few different buttons there. The very first one is going to bring our seat forwards or backwards. We can lower the seat, or if you're vertically challenged, we can raise the whole seat up. From there, there's also a circular button, and that circular button is going to be for power lumbar support, so we can give ourselves a little bit more stability for our lower back. From there, if you need to move the actual backrest, there is one more lever along the side. We're just going to crank that lever up in order to move the backrest backwards and forwards as necessary. Adjusting the steering wheel is also very straightforward. It is a manual process inside of the vehicle by our left knee. Little lever there, we're just going to crank that lever down, and we can pull the steering wheel in towards us, move it away, lift it up and down. Once you've got your perfect position, we're just going to lift that back up and crank it, lock it back into place. Now, this is the Sync 3 screen, so this is the screen that we're going to be met with when the vehicle's first turned on. If for whatever reason you're not on this screen, let's say you're on the phone or the apps screen, whatever the case may be, you're just going to press this home icon along the top in order to bring you back to this main screen. Now, one thing to point out, this one does not have the added technology package, which would give us voice-activated navigation. So because of that, as you can see, we don't have the navigation icon on the bottom tray. But one of the nice things about Sync 3 system is that it does give you Android Auto and Apple CarPlay support. So if your vehicle does not have the navigation, don't worry about it. You do have the option to run off of your phone instead, and you can use it directly through this middle screen. We'll get to that one in just a second. But as you can see there, we've got a basic compass. We've got the ability to add a phone there, or we can add a phone along the bottom. Well, let's start off on the bottom left-hand side, and that's going to be our basic audio settings. So sources, we can change between AM, FM, Sirius, XM, or Bluetooth. If our phone was connected, our phone would show up there, as well as any sort of radio apps that we might have installed. So let's say if my phone was connected, I had LiveX Live or Spotify installed, it would show up there. In order to change sources, we can easily just select as necessary. And then from there, we can tune a few different ways. We can tune using this. There's a tuning button a little bit lower, or we can use the voice-activated prompts in order to be able to change the station that way. But let's say if we were to tune to a station, let's go 94.9, a local rock station. So we're now connected there, and we can change the volume for a second. So decent audio system inside of this thing, but we've changed to a station. So now if we want to save it as a preset, all we're going to do is press and hold any of these there. And as you can see, the preset is now saved. And we can do a mix of AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. all along the bottom there. As we start to move into our climate settings. So climate settings, very straightforward. From there, we've got the ability to do auto and let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be. We've got a basic menu button, which is going to give us max air conditioning as well as our max windshield defroster. We can turn the system on or off, and the vehicle does have dual zone climate control. So if we've got the dual zone climate control set where, let's say, I don't know, somebody likes it a little bit colder than the other person, dual is going to show up. If we want to bring it back to whatever the driver's setting is, we just tap dual again and it'll reset it to whatever the driver's setting is. From there, we can figure out if it's going to our windshield face or our feet, and we've also got the fan speed control. From there, the air circulation button. So with this one turned off, what's going to happen is the air is going to pull from outside and the vehicle is going to bring it in. With the air circulation button turned on, it's just going to recycle air that's inside of the cabin. We can turn it off from there. We've got our rear window defroster as well as our air conditioning. Now, adding a phone is very straightforward. All we're going to do is select phone and hit add phone.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
And we're literally just going to follow the instructions. So we're just going to hop into your phone and we're going to go to Bluetooth, and there we go. Give it a second there. And as you can see, Ford Ranger has shown up. So we're just going to select Ford Ranger.
Confirm that the pin displayed on sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
We're literally just going to follow directions. So 720787, these pins match. So we're going to hit yes and pair.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Boom, just about connected. So, looking there, it's now asking, do I want to allow my contacts and favorites to sync? Yeah, I'm connecting my phone for a reason, so let's hit allow there. And the last one, so two more things, we've got 911 Assist, which I always recommend turning that one on. And the big reason why is because if you're in an accident with your phone connected to the vehicle senses the accident, it's automatically going to dial 911 for us and talk to the operator. From there, we've got the automatic contact download, which means that when our phone's connected, it's automatically going to download our contacts. Yeah, we want to do that. And now I'm fully connected. We've got my call list, my contacts, my phone, change of phone. We've got a ton of different options there. And looking at for a second, if we hit apps, LiveX Live. So if we had different apps like Spotify, Pandora, etc., some of them absolutely will work through this middle screen. You don't have to be connected through USB. It's just done over Bluetooth. Whatever apps are available will show up there. Some of them you might have to connect through USB. So having said that, let's jump into it and figure out how to set Android Auto and Apple CarPlay up. Let's start off with Apple CarPlay. So first thing, you're going to want to take the USB cable and plug it into any of the available USB ports. So I'm plugged in there. Now all I'm going to do is plug my phone into the USB cable there. So I'm just going to go boom. Okay, Apple CarPlay lets me use your phone. So yes, we want to be able to do that. So I have to hit continue. And then we do have to agree to this in order to use Apple CarPlay. So we're going to hit agree and wait. Look at this. Look at this. Apple CarPlay preferences. I'm just about there. Looking at my phone now. So it's now saying, oh, plug is loose. There we go. Let's plug her back in. There we go. All right, CarPlay, unlock in order to work. So I'm just going to use my fingerprint ID there in order to unlock. There we go. All right, now 1 second, something else came up. Do I want to allow CarPlay with sync? Yes, while the phone is locked, we absolutely want to do that. So just make sure you hit allow there. And look, we're now fully connected. We've got my phone, we've got my messages, and a lot of other things. So we can use Apple Maps, we can use Google Maps, we can use Waze directly through this middle screen. So if your vehicle is not equipped with factory navigation, don't worry about it, because you've got the capabilities to hook up through USB, and you can run off of whatever map app you'd like to directly through this middle screen. You can use things like LiveX Live there as well, and there are a number of other things. Now, one nice thing as well is that when we jump into our settings, we can also go to CarPlay there, and then we can look at the device, and it gives us the ability to customize. So let's say if you listen to your podcast most, we can simply drag that along the top, and look at that. Podcasts, now choice number 1. You can delete certain things, so if you never listen to podcasts, it's now gone, and it's at the very bottom under more apps. So if for whatever reason an app that you typically use doesn't show up, don't worry about it. Just go to your settings, go to CarPlay, select the vehicle, and then you can rearrange and adjust these as necessary. If for whatever reason you want to make sure that you're charging up, but you're not using CarPlay, all we have to do is go to this forward button, hit sync. That's going to bring us back to that sync screen instead. So now we can look at basic Apple CarPlay. We can jump back into CarPlay, I should say, or we can go to settings, jump into Apple CarPlay settings. Now we can turn Apple CarPlay off. So if we do that, look at this. We're now going based off of just my phone. My phone is still being charged while I'm actually connected. We can now remove my phone completely from the vehicle. And as you can see there, boom. So I've still got my phone connected, so over Bluetooth, but Apple CarPlay is no longer turned on. And then we can easily turn that back on as necessary, or we can jump into settings, and then from there phone, and my phone is listed, so we can view active devices, manage contacts, set ringtones, etc. But if we go view devices, we can look at my connected iPhone. We can either disconnect it or we can completely remove it. And just a second there we go. We jump back into phone and my phone is no longer connected. So it's really that simple. Next up, setting up an Android device is virtually the exact same process. So we can connect it via Bluetooth, but to set up Android Auto, we're just going to take a USB cable, we're going to plug it into our phone there and watch what happens. Welcome to Android Auto, this simple. So I just need to make sure that my phone's unlocked there, and we're just going to unlock to continue. Now, Android Auto extends the Android platform. We want to continue, we want to make sure we do that. Privacy terms and conditions, same thing, we need to agree to that. And let's look at my phone now. So next up, on the phone, it's saying that Android Auto would like to turn on Bluetooth to pair with my vehicle and allow access to my car. So we're going to hit next to allow that, and we're just going to give it a second there. Now, one thing I actually noticed about Android Auto compared to Apple CarPlay, when you do Apple CarPlay, it'll simply show up. If you ever run into the position where it's kind of caught in this loop, don't worry about it. Literally, all you're going to do is just press the back button there if it doesn't show up automatically and do that, and it'll just take you to this screen instead. Perfect. So look at that. I am now fully connected. My phone is now asking me, do I want to allow access to the messages? So yes, we want to make sure we allow that. Now we're fully connected there, so I can use Google Maps. If I had Waze installed, I'd be able to use that as well directly through this middle screen. I've got my phone settings and basic podcasts there as well. Now from there, I've got the ability to hot press this in order to jump into my maps. I can look at my notifications. I can use my Google Assistant as well. And same thing what we just finished seeing inside of Apple CarPlay. If I want to jump back to the main screen, hit that forward button, and it brings us back to our default, where we've now got a hotkey in order to bring up Google Maps or Waze. We can jump into some basic Android Auto settings, and we can look at our Android Auto preferences, which means we can turn Android Auto off if we want to. So we're connected, we're charging the phone, but Android Auto is no longer engaged. And from there, we can completely remove the phone from Android Auto, and then we still have to jump into the phone in order to remove it from the vehicle. So same thing, if you're not on this screen, all we have to do is go to our basic settings, into our phone, we can view devices, click on the device, either disconnect or completely remove. Let's remove. Boom, go into phone again for a sec, and none of my phones are now connected. From there, we can move into some other settings. So looking at our basic apps, so if any apps were available there because our phone was connected, they would show up there. Into our basic settings, so a little bit of options there. Let's start off looking at our sound settings. So we've got the ability to adjust our treble, mid-range, bass, number of other things, speed, compensated volume, which means the volume's automatically going to go up or down just depending on how fast we're going. And then occupancy mode, are all the seats occupied or just the front seats? From there, we've got clock settings. So the clock settings are interesting. We can either go to settings and then clock, or we can just press the top there and we can jump right into our clock instead. We can either increase or decrease an hour or a minute, AM or PM, and we can go into that military time if we prefer. And then we can also reset our clock to GPS time. So if we're going to the East Coast, West Coast, etc., we just press that in order to reset it to wherever we're currently located. Bluetooth, we can turn Bluetooth off or we can add a device. When we go to phone, that's going to be the ability to add a phone in, or we can just press the phone button along the bottom in the tray. From there, we've also got our radio. So radio text and then our auto set. So radio text is going to be this information that shows up along the top. If we were tuned to the right station that is currently playing a song, it would show up there. So basic radio text. We can also change between our sources. So when we change to Sirius, watch what happens. Sirius XM now. Now we've got a ton of different options for SiriusXM. So if you're a heavy SiriusXM user, knowing that you've got some other settings, we can go into different categories, so different channels. We can do a parental lockout. So if we, are lending a vehicle to a kid or want to play a prank on the spouse, we've got the capabilities to do that. We've got different notifications, different presets. We can lock out certain channels, skip different channels, things like that. So really, really neat. And then in order to bring it back to our regular source, all we have to do is just go AM, FM, etc. And then we've got our basic settings again. From there, we've got some mobile apps. Some of them will work over USB, others are Bluetooth, so we can just press and toggle those on or off as necessary. Basic vehicle settings, we've got quite a few options there. So language, we can change between English, Spanish, or French, Celsius or Fahrenheit. We can go measurement units for either kilometers or miles. The beeping that we're getting. So that there, if that drives you nuts, you can turn it off. And then auto system updates, I always recommend make sure you turn the automatic system updates on. And when you do that, also make sure that you've also got Wi-Fi turned on at home, because what will happen is the vehicle will automatically update the vehicle's firmware for you. So if there are new software, things like that releases, it'll automatically update that. If for whatever reason the vehicle's giving you any sort of issues, we do have the ability to do a master reset, which will set the vehicle back to a factory default. From there, we've got 911 assist. So as I mentioned, we want to make sure that we have this one turned on, but make sure that your phone's connected to the vehicle as well, because if you're in a collision, the vehicle is automatically going to dial 911 for us. From there, we've got, again, automatic updates, so we can turn automatic updates on or off. I do recommend, actually, let's do that. Make sure it's turned on. Yes. Oh, I'm not connected to Wi-Fi. So again, make sure you're connected to Wi-Fi at home in order for that to happen. And then we can manually scan for updates if we need to. Wi-Fi, so we can connect to available Wi-Fi networks at home, or we can use our phone's wireless hotspot. Ford Pass Connect, so the vehicle itself is equipped with an onboard modem, and we've got the ability to use it as a hotspot for up to 10 devices. Very straightforward. Just go to a cellular provider in Canada that's Bell Mobility in order to be able to get a data-only plan to use your vehicle as a hotspot. From there, we've got a number of other options, so basic vehicle settings. Let's look at some of those. So rear occupant alert is actually a really neat one. Watch what happens when I turn the car off. Boom. You want to talk about a great safety setting? How about this? Like, that is such an incredible setting. And again, the big one there is if you've got kids, turn on that rear occupant alert so that you know to double check the back seat just to make sure that you didn't forget anybody, because unfortunately it does happen. If you don't have any kids back there, just make sure you can turn that thing off as necessary. Basic camera settings, and then our onboard serial number. From there, we've got some basic display settings. So let's say, as nice as this thing is, if you find it a little bit too busy, we can just turn the display off and then button press in order to turn it back on again. Background, we can change the background look, and we've got a few different modes. So it's currently in the daytime, well, it's in auto, but our auto mode has set it to daytime. So whether it's in the daytime mode all the time, nighttime mode all the time, or auto is up to you. But I personally love the look of this one. It's blue, it's bright, it's beautiful. I love it. I would keep it locked into the nighttime mode all the time. But if you have it in auto, the vehicle's automatically going to flip between daytime or nighttime mode depending on how bright it is outside. From there, we've got our voice control with a few different options. So that's our voice command button on the steering wheel. So it's not in advanced mode. I want you to listen for a second. 97.7.
Tuning to FM 97.7.
Okay. So it's changed to a radio station for us. This is the radio text, by the way. So it's changed the radio station for us, but let's take a look for a second and let's go voice control and turn advanced mode on. And let's try that again. 94.9. Okay. No message, but look at that. It's changed the station. So one of the benefits of being in advanced mode is we just won't get as many notifications. Phone confirmation, do you want to call such and such a person? Yes or no? And then our voice command list. So this list that came up when we press the voice command button is our command list. So whether or not that one comes up is a matter of whether or not this is toggled on or off. From there, we've got our valet mode. Valet mode, when we enter a 4-digit number, like 1111, don't use 1111, use something difficult, but look at this. It's locked the screen out now, so I can't do anything on the screen until I enter that 4-digit number again and unlock it. It'd be kind of funny if I locked myself out of this thing. I've never done that before, but if I did, oh. All right, next up, we've got ambient light. So ambient light, we do have a few different options there. So we've got some different color choices, really a matter of preference which color shows up, and that's going to be shown in different parts of the vehicle. Let's take a look now and see what that looks like. Basic cabin lighting, we've got a few spots you can just kind of make out a little bit of that blue cabin lighting there, and then just down by my feet you can just kind of make it off of my shoe there. So there is a little bit of cabin lighting throughout the vehicle. So kind of cool, right? You can change it to match your personality. Jumping back from there, that is going to be the basics of this Sync 3 screen. Now, as we start to move down the console, so a few things to point out. As you can see there, we've got our 4-way blinkers, so we can easily turn those on or off. We've got our volume rocker. So we can easily we can adjust the volume as necessary, and we can turn the audio system on or off just by pressing this button in the middle. On the opposite side, we've got our tuning knob, so we've got the ability to, so we can either tune using direct tune, we can tune using the tuning knob, or we can use the voice command button on our steering wheel to change the stations. Moving down, we've got the ability to change stations or change songs, we can play or pause, and we do have dual zone climate control, so we can set it up different for the driver passenger. We've got our basic fan control, and these are just basic command settings for the climate, where we've got more advanced ones on this Sync 3 screen instead. But moving down basic settings, we've got the ability to go to our windshield, max windshield defrost, rear window defrost, auto setting, air conditioning, max AC, circulation button, and then we can turn the system on or off as necessary. Now, because we are in the Lariat version of the Ranger, we do also have heated front row seats, and there are a few different 12-volt adapters, so we've got two different adapters there. And you can just kind of make it out there, but that is those are our two USB ports, regular USB. As we start to move down, we've got the auto start stop, so we've got the ability to turn that on or off in order to potentially kill power to the engine if we're stopped for an extended period of time. From there, we've also got our tow haul mode, so our trailer mode, and then we've also got traction control, so we've got the ability to easily turn that on or off as necessary. From there, now the vehicle itself is equipped with 4x4, and that's going to be a default for the Ranger in North America. We have our 2 high, our 4 high, and our 4 low setting, so we can easily move the knob as necessary in order to be able to change that out. From there, we've got our shifter knob, so we've got our park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then our S, or sport mode. Sport mode is just going to tighten things up and make things a little bit sportier of a performance. Moving down a little bit more, we've got our parking brake, so we can pull that on or off as necessary. We've got a few cup holders, and then we've also got a little storage space. So boom, pop this up. As you can see, a little storage space there. Next up, let's take a peek at the steering wheel. So nice, simple design, easy grips along the side. Now, one thing to note, we do not have a heated steering wheel, unfortunately. I'd love to see that, but it's not there yet. So let's start off. We've got a number of different screens and a lot of buttons that we can cover off. Now, as I mentioned, this specific one does not have the added technology package, which would give us adaptive cruise control. So along the bottom left-hand side there, we do just have our regular cruise. So we can either easily set it, we can reset it, cancel, we can turn cruise control on or off from there. If you had the adaptive cruise control, it would look slightly different. It would give us distance indicators and a few other things. When it comes down to it, we've got two different directional pads as well. The left directional pad is going to be for the little screen there. The right directional pad is going to be for the little screen there. So as you can see, we've got a little message. All we do is we hit the OK button, and that's going to control any messages we'll see along the left side. Same thing, right button in order to control the ones on the right side. But we've got the ability to easily scroll between active screens on the side there. Let's zoom in a tiny little bit. All right, there you go. So as you can see there, so as we move this button up and down, so we've got the ability to look at our fuel. We can go distance to empty. We can hold to reset if we want to. We've got our tire pressure, digital speedometer, and a few others. Pressing the OK button on some of these screens will reset and default some things. So actually, let's go, if we go average speed, press and hold OK. As you can see there, now reset to 0. So the average speed one is an interesting one. If we press the left arrow key, so what that's going to do is bring us into an option to choose some different settings there. So we've got different display modes. We can tweak that. We've got trip 1 and 2. So we've got different trip options there. Same thing, press and hold the OK button in order to reset that. Jumping back, we've got our basic fuel economy settings. We've got our fuel history, auto start stop, and a few others. From there, we've got some basic driver assistance settings. So driver assistance settings, we've got the blind spot indicator, which means, so you can just kind of make it out there. So see that? The little orange light that's highlighting, that lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. From there, we've also got our trailer and our trailer length. So we've got the ability to enter in our trailer dimensions, which is really, really useful, and we can select between different trailers from there. So if we tow different things, we can tweak those out. From there, you can just kind of make it up, but we also have cross-traffic alert. So if the vehicle senses somebody coming perpendicular from us, so either from the right or the left-hand side, with cross-traffic alert turned on, we'll get a message letting us know of a potential collision. Rear parking aid, when we're backing up, that beeping that we get, we can turn that on or off. And then trailer sway control. So if the vehicle senses trailer sway, it's automatically going to decelerate the engine in order to try to get that sway under control. Driver alert, we can turn that one on or off. Once that reaches 6, it's going to tell us that we should probably take a break. And same thing, we can turn that one on or off if we'd like to. From there, we've got the lane keeping system, and it's got 3 different modes. So 3 different modes. The first one is the alert. So if we start to veer over into a lane without signaling, the vehicle will take over, and it'll actually shake the steering wheel, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement. From there, we've got the aid only. So if we start to veer over without signaling, the vehicle will actually take over the steering wheel and it'll recenter you and pull you back into your lane, which is a really great setting. The alert and the aid will do both. So it'll shake the steering wheel and recenter you in your lane. The intensity is the intensity of the steering wheel shake. Is it a high, normal, or a low feeling? From there, we've also got alert sensitivity as well for the lane keeping side of things. Pre-collision assist, we can turn the system on or off as we'd like to. I do recommend keeping it on. The big reason why is because if the vehicle senses a potential collision, it'll actively brake for us. So it'll try to brake in time in order to prevent the potential collision. We've got the alert sensitivity for that, and we can turn those on or off as necessary. That's going to be the basics of our driver assistance, and then we've also got basic settings. So let's start off at the top there. So under vehicle, the auto engine off, we can actually flip that thing off. So we can boom, turn that off, and then the auto engine off will not happen again. From there, we've got some basic light, so our auto high beam, which means that, yeah, can we pull this towards us in order to turn on our high beams? Absolutely. But what you can do is just have auto high beams turned on, and the vehicle will automatically turn on the high beams as necessary. And then if it notices an oncoming vehicle, it will start to dim them before turning them off completely. So that is a great setting to keep on. The auto lamp delay, when we lock the vehicle, do the lamps stay on for 10, 20, or 120 seconds. From there, we've got our locks, which basic settings there, auto unlock, etc. I do recommend, so the auto unlock and lock, if we're going up to a certain speed and our doors aren't locked yet, it'll automatically lock them for us. Mislock, which really useful setting there. So if the vehicle senses that we haven't properly shut a door, it'll double chirp to let us know. From there, we've also got remote unlock. So when we remote unlock the door, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's door? From there, we've got our neutral tow settings and then our oil life. So we can reset from there if we're changing our oil ourselves. Remote start. So the vehicle itself is equipped with remote start. Now the fob itself actually doesn't have remote start on it, but if you use the Ford Pass Connect app, you've got the ability to remote start directly through your cell phone instead. And when you remote start, what happens? Climate control, is it going to be the auto setting, so let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be, or is it going to be based off of whatever our last settings were when the vehicle was turned off? With our seats, are the heated seats going to come on automatically? And is it going to be 5, 10, or 15 minutes for the duration of the start? Or we can turn the system off completely. From there, seatbelts. I'm a driver, so let me actually pull the seatbelt on for a second there. Let me show you what happens when we've got our seatbelt on. Boom. All right, there we go. So you see that little check mark there? Take it off so you can make sure that whoever's in the vehicle actually has their seatbelts on. Nice little safety setting. From there, we've got wipers, so a courtesy wipe. What the courtesy wipe will do is once we've got our windshield wipers going, it'll take a few seconds and then it'll automatically wipe it once to get rid of any potential excess. You can turn that one on or off, and that's going to be the basics of the vehicle settings. From there, we've got My Key. So My Key, we've got the ability to set up certain limitations for an individual key fob. So let's say if you want to play a prank on a spouse or you're lending a vehicle out to a kid, you've got the ability to select it and set it up so that an individual key fob has limitations where you might only be able to go up to 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles per hour. It's really, really neat what you can set up. And then from there, a display setup. So we've got basic measurement units. So we've got liters per 100, miles per gallon, temperature, Celsius or Fahrenheit, our gauge display. So we've got the fuel gauge and then the fuel gauge and the tachometer. As you can see there, it just kind of popped up along the side. Moving back, we've got our tire pressure, so PSI, etc. Language, English, Spanish, or French. And that's going to be the basics of that side of the screen, and we can go back into our display mode from there. Looking on the right side of the screen, so this is all connected and this is all set up, I should say, and you can navigate by using the one on the right-hand side. Left one, left screen, right one, right screen. But watch this. So we can change between our active sources, so we can go AM, FM, Sirius, XM, etc. We can change between stations and our presets. Or if our phone was connected, it would show up there as well. Now, if we had factory navigation, we would also have a navigation setting there. This one does not have factory navigation, so we would be using our cell phone instead, but that screen would show up differently if we had factory nav. Phone's not connected, but if it was, we could make phone calls and things like that directly through this. And from there, as I mentioned, we've got the ability to select between radio stations, change our source as well. Now, as we start to move down the steering wheel, so a few different buttons here. It seems a little busy, but it's very simple. Off to the right-hand side, we've got our volume rocker, so we can go up or down with our volume there easily. We can mute our volume, we can we can answer a phone call, hang up on a phone call, we can switch between songs, and then we've got our voice command prompt. So with the voice command prompt, that's going to give us the ability to either make phone calls, we can change radio stations. If we had navigation, we would also have the ability to change or navigate by pressing this button as well. And that's going to be the basics of the steering wheel. Now, as we start to move up overhead, so this one does have, as you can see there, garage door opener code, so we can program in a garage door opener if we've got one at home. And pulling this down, we've got our visor with our lights, and from there we can pull this thing out, and we can also extend it backwards as well if we need to. Bring it back and click it back into place from there. Looking up overhead, as you can see, very similar to what we see in Ford vehicles, we've got our sunglasses holder. And from there, we do have our cabin lighting. So cabin lights, when it's this way, that means that the lights will never come on. This means that the lights will come on with the doors open, and this means that the lights are on all the time. So you've got some different options there. Moving down, we do have an auto dimming mirror. So really, really nice, because if it's a little bit too bright outside, the vehicle will automatically dim the mirror for us. So really, really nice. Now up overhead, the Ranger does not have the option for a twin panel sunroof, but we do have quite a little bit of headspace. So as I mentioned, I'm 6 feet tall. The seat is not all the way down. So when I put the seat all the way down, there we go. I've got about 3.5 or 4 inches of headspace up above. So definitely something to consider if you're a taller person. The Ranger might be a little bit too small for you. Like if you're 6'4", I'd say you might have to look at an F-150 as an option instead. Well, folks, that was a look at the 2021 Ford Ranger Lariat. What did you think? Drop down in the comments section below, share your thoughts. If you have any questions or any problems with your Ranger Lariat, I'm more than willing to talk you through the problems that you might be having. If you have an idea for a future video, make sure you drop down in the comments section below and let me know, and I'll make sure that I give you a shout out in that future video. But I think that's just about it. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you let me know. If you enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up, and make sure that you subscribe with the notifications on, because I've got some killer giveaways planned over the course of the next little bit. But until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe.